Hey everybody, Coach Matthew here with episode number 2 of the Mountaineer Mightcast. It is a brand new season for the Berkeley County Parks and Rec volleyball teams. I have 2 teams. I have a minis team and a juniors team. I'm going to be breaking down that very first week at a glance, give you my expectations, my thoughts, and ultimately how I think these seasons are going to pan out for both those teams. Stay tuned. I got a lot of great information coming up in this episode. Like I stated in the introduction, it is a brand new week for the girls in the Berkeley County Parks and Rec Volleyball League. This year I am coaching 2 teams. I have a minis team, which is girls who are 9 to 10 years old, and then I have what's called a juniors team, which is girls 11 to 12 years old. So I have 2 teams this year. Last year my team was able to win the minis division. As you can see, I am rocking our 2024 Undefeated League Championship hoodie. It was one of the things I offered after winning the season. Hopefully I'll be able to do that again for these teams this year. But I do have some other gear, which I'll talk about later on in this episode if you want to support the girls and what we're trying to do here in building this brand. But I want to go ahead and start out and talk about the week overall, what I thought from both the practices. Both my teams practice on Monday night and they practice on Thursday night. I'm going to give you a breakdown of what I thought of both those practices from a coaching standpoint, what I tried to focus on in the practice, and what I like to see. I do want to start out and say the very first week, I did not want cameras in there. Again, and this even stems from my time in the personal training or fitness industry. I work with a lot of people. If I could only film the amount of stuff I could have a mega library full of stuff. But my number one priority is always coaching the individuals. I don't want to stand there with a camera and try to get that footage, but also ignore them at the same time. That is something I would have loved to have somebody to film, but it's not one of those things that I make a priority. So I didn't want to have cameras there the very first practice. It will be coming up this week. There will be camera footage and you will actually get to see the practices and the breakdowns, how I coach, what we work on with the players. But in this episode, there will be no footage of the practices. It's pretty much just going to be me talking about what I saw from the practices. But going forward, I do want to incorporate a little bit more filming, but ultimately my priority is coaching. It's not messing around with a camera. I'm there to get them better at volleyball. It's not about necessarily building up a YouTube or an Instagram or some type of online following. It's more about coaching them, but I want them to be able to look back at these and see the journey that they were on. So you will not see any footage from this previous week, but you will see this upcoming week. I also am going to be shooting some stuff that has some workouts that my daughters are going through that is good body weight stuff for a young age for girls to start incorporating to help them play better. Just overall get stronger, move better, become faster. That is something that I like to focus on with all my athletes. And I do believe even at a young age that can be incorporated to in-season training. As they get older, a little bit tougher, but I still think athletes should continue to prioritize just general fitness as well throughout the season. So there will be some of that coming up this week. So I do want to go ahead and start out and kind of break down how the practices go. So Monday night was our very first practice of the season. Each team gets 1 hour to practice. Right now I have the 2 teams separate. So my minis team showed up first. For the practice, overall, I am super excited for that group of girls. I mentioned in the previous podcast or Mightcast that I had one of the girls returning from last year's team. So it was great to see her again and get a returning piece from that championship team. But it was also just great to see the excitement in those girls. Yes, there's always the early jitters of nobody really knows anybody else. But that minis team, I'm really looking forward to that season with those girls. Overall, the technique, it's going to come. It takes some time. They're very much new to the sport. There's only a few girls who have even played more than one season on that team. And there's some who've never even pretty much touched a volleyball until getting there. But overall, I mean, I was just so impressed with their effort, their willingness to learn, to be coached, to smile, to make mistakes, which is totally okay to do. And not hold yourself to such a high standard. I wanted to show them that while I can be an intense coach because I care, I'm also trying to be a fun coach and I want to lighten the mood with them and be silly with them too, because ultimately that just leads to a better vibe. If you ask for a lot out of the athletes, but they know that you care and you can do so in a lighthearted way sometimes, you get a lot more out of it. So that's what I wanted to do. So overall, very, very happy with the minis. The very first night, we focused on making our platforms even for players who are experienced. Just like basketball players are going to be shooting free throws until they retire, it's the same thing. We need to focus on the fundamentals. So we focused on making that platform and being able to maintain that platform as we do some passing drills. At this age, the passing, it's not necessarily there. Sure, you have some girls who can do it, but you're not going to get where you have a good serve receive, a solid pass into a set, and you have a girl hit. Most of these girls, they can't even reach up and touch the top of the net height. So there's some things that I don't focus on at this age, but trying to begin with the passing and making the platform is a top priority, and it also just gets them comfortable seeing a volleyball come at them. Sometimes girls are scared to see that volleyball come over, especially when it's coming from the other side of a net. And I do know there are some girls in this mini league who can serve. Ultimately, both of my daughters would still be in this league if I wouldn't have bumped them up. Skill-wise, though, I thought it was better for them, and I thought it was better for the other girls in the league based on how much experience that they have to bump up and really be able to focus on some of these newer girls coming in. So we focused on the platform, making that and doing some other drills and I'll bring it up a couple times. At this age, just getting more experience with the volleyball is what these girls need. Again, these drills don't have to be perfect. Yes, there's some things, some bad habits I try to break really early on, but for the most part, it's just getting experience of being on the court and doing the right things, not over coaching them. Yes, we try to fix quite a few things, and there's always a few coaching cues that I bring up, because when they do indeed make a mistake, they can usually, for instance, if it has to do with like stepping and bringing that back foot across their body and spinning, they can look down. If I stop them, they can look down and see, oh, I shouldn't have taken this step, and they can move back. So I do want them to auto learn. So it's not just coaches telling me do this, do this, do this, do this. They realize, oh, I took this extra step. I shouldn't have done that. That's why the ball went this way and whatever happened. So again, just focused on fundamental passing. Did not even do serving the first night with the girls. Not one of those things I wanted to do. It was just get them used to their teammates, get them to see they should not be nervous, and focus on just fundamental passing. So great practice out of those girls. I love to see the smiles. I love to see the excitement that goes into the sport. It's one of those things that even I've seen from my own kids. You can come in excited, and it can just flip throughout the season depending on how you play, how the games go. Some stuff you can control, some stuff you can't. And I've seen girls start out super enthusiastic about the sport and then end never wanting to play again. And that is not what I want. I mentioned in the previous Miccast that yes, I do want to win, but it is number 4 on my list full of things. The enjoyment of the sport and just having fun and building fundamental skills, that's my number 1 and 2. If we lose sight of those, even if you win, the girls are not likely to come back and play again. And I want this to be the first of many girls' seasons, or those girls who have played a few. I want this to be a major stepping stone to get them ready for the next level. So that's how I felt about the minis practice, the very first one. Then right after that, I had the juniors practice. And I want to be completely honest in these, and if there is any parents watching, I'm sure you could get the sense of where I'm coming from in this. I was still happy with the juniors practice, but I hold those girls to a little bit higher standard, because I believe on my team, all but 1 or 2 girls have actually played before and played many seasons. So I do have higher expectations for them to come in. They're like, hey, we should all have some fundamental skills, and everybody comes from a different spot, but I want the things that it's not about the skill that you give, it's about the effort that you give. And again, the first night jitters could have been there, and that's always tough too. Again, I try to make it lighthearted, but for anybody who has, say, a 9-year-old versus a 12-year-old, you definitely know the difference in personalities at that age and how they react to things. So while I thought it was a solid practice, there were some things I thought could have went a lot better, and that would be from an effort standpoint. I ask a lot of them, I expect a lot, but it's something that I show them how to do and what I want. Both teams, I say, you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. I don't care if these girls are good. as far as their overall skills at the very beginning. Now, yes, I want them to do good, but if you're new to the sport, I don't expect the ball to go over every time. I just want to see the effort, and I want to see you try it. I want to see you not quit. So don't get it wrong when I say I don't care, but that's not the number one thing, is always making sure that it's a perfect repetition every single time. It's about the willingness to step in there and get after the effort. One thing that bothered me a little bit is, and again, I was getting after it with these girls, really trying to harp on some things. Now, again, ultimately, and I don't know, I'm sure there's other great coaches in the league. I've never really worked with them to know, only just briefly, like before a game, after a game kind of stuff. But I have already been told that I tend to hold the girls to a little bit higher standard. And I'm sure there's other coaches who do that as well. But I'm not here to be a pushover. I'm here to make your daughters better. I'm here to prove that I truly do care about them and I want them to be the best players. So to kind of get back to what I was going to say a minute ago, is we were doing this drill and I just wasn't getting the effort. Now, again, new girls, the chemistry's not there. Everybody's kind of waiting for somebody else to get the ball or make a move, which ultimately, like the girls who have worked with me, and you're going to hear me say it a lot, I have my kids, like I have my 2 daughters, and then there's a couple girls who I've worked with for multiple seasons. I still will refer to them as like my kids, even though realistically I'm not their parents, but I'm used to those who I've worked with and coached for many seasons versus the newer girls. They know my expectations going into this, and I just didn't like what I saw. A lot of standing around, which if you've watched me for previous seasons, you know how much I yell about get low, movement all the time. And we were doing a drill, because I am very much a defensive priority coach, especially at this age level. I think the defense is what sets the teams apart, and you can really tell the mark of a good team through their defense versus the other teams who just serve. So I wasn't seeing what I wanted. So I asked a question. And again, at this time, there was 12 girls on the team, and I just stopped practice. And I said, hey, who wants to be the 10th best girl on this team? And thank goodness, nobody answered me. I hope nobody wants to be the 10th best on the team. I said, all right, well, who wants to be the 5th best on the team? Same thing, no response. Who wants to be the 3rd best on the team? No response. I'm liking where this is going, although what I'm not hearing is definitely different than what I'm seeing. Then I finally asked the question, who wants to be the best player on this team? And 3 girls that, again, 2 of them were my daughters and 1 more was one I coached before, yell me. So 3 out of 12 girls want to be the best player on the team, and nobody wants to be 5th or 3rd. Apparently the other ones all want to be the 2nd best player. Now, again, I know they're kind of put on the spot, like, what are you talking about here right now? But I was hoping every single girl was going to say me in that scenario, because I want them to all want to be the best. Can they all be the best? No. Can they all be great? Absolutely. Even the new girls, it's a mentality thing of knowing, hey, every time I step on the court, I want to be the most dominant player. Yes, they're not getting recruited at this age, but it should be, I want the other teams to know my number, know my name, and who I am and what I bring to the table. Again, it's not a cockiness thing, and I don't want it to come off like that, but I want teams to know, if you're playing the purple team, you're in for a tough game. I mean, this team, they chant, they cheer, they're together, they play hard, and every girl on this team really has bought in. That's what I want the other teams to feel about us. Like, oh, when it's the purple team, it's going to be a long day when they look at that schedule and they see us on there. And I want every team's best effort when they play us, because if we're able to go through the gauntlet and win like we did last year, at the end of the day, you can say we beat everybody going through that thing. So again, first practice, probably some jitters, a little bit of the chemistry issues. We just focused on defense, and we played a game that I like to play that really makes girls, if done correctly, they should be moving and show a lot of effort. I didn't necessarily see that. To be honest with you, I thought, again, my girls, 3 of the girls I've worked with before, my 2 daughters and another girl, they pretty much handled everybody in this game that we play called short court. Now, there were some times the other teams got up on them, but 75, 80% of the time, those 3 girls own that short court game. Now, again, when you're not used to playing it, it's tough, but the older girls with some experience should be able to figure that out. But there were some effort balls where I try to get the players to get at least 2 or 3 hits in this short court game. The little, even though I know it's gonna sound weird, the little kids, because again, these three girls, Alina being 10, Addie being 8, almost 9, and then Milani, who I believe just turned 9, they're beating girls who are 11 and 12 years old, and they're doing it through effort. And it's not that the balls that they were doing were that just much better. They were just out working everybody, because especially my two daughters, but Milani, who I've worked with for multiple seasons, I'm seeing that out of her too. There were some good plays from the other girls, absolutely, on the other side, so they were able to beat them. But the short court game, and to me, that is net defense. And that's a major deal to me, is being able, who's going to defend the net, who's going to fight for those tough balls. That's what I wanted to see. Little disappointed overall, but the nice thing is, through their passing and some of the other stuff, I saw a lot of promise with that juniors team. So if you're a parent on the juniors team, I'm not necessarily, don't feel like I'm coming down hard on this team. I just expect more out of them, because again, they're more experienced girls. And if we can just get the effort thing up, that team's running the gauntlet. The skill is there. And again, I'll hit that when I talk about the next one, the next practice. The skill's there. It's just who's going to be willing to outwork and out-hustle every other team. Again, if everybody's the exact same on the skill level, what's the 1 and 2 intangible traits that you're going to need to beat the other teams? It's who's going to hustle for the ball, who's going to communicate out there, and who's not going to let the mistakes get to them. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see out of that. So again, not a bad practice, not a great one. Overall good. They did some stuff with passing that I really liked, that I feel like when we do ultimately want to try to set and hit, we're going to have some girls who can do it. And I like to see that. So we end up getting done with that, with those two practices. On Wednesday, I held a pop-up practice, and the weather was nice. For anybody who lives here in West Virginia who knows, we haven't had a lot of good days this year. So I wanted to try to get the girls together and just meet up at a park. It was a short notice thing. I like to do it throughout the season. If the girls can make it, that's awesome. If they can't, I totally understand. I usually try to plan those in advance a little bit more, but it was like, hey, it's a Wednesday night. I don't want my kids sitting on their tablets. The weather's nice. Why not get out for an hour and see if we can get some of the girls to come? A few girls took advantage of that and met us at a park. We had a practice for about an hour. Nothing formal, but it was still able to get more time. And again, more touches with the ball. That's what these girls need at this age. So I was very happy with that. And the few girls who came, I really like where they're going and progressing in their skills. Again, the more they put into it, the more they get out of it. And so that was awesome to see. As we do those throughout the year, I hope to get a little bit more participation. But again, I don't want the girls' lives being consumed with volleyball all the time. We have a few girls who play it even a little bit more through travel leagues and other stuff versus some other ones. But again, I want those newer players to have that opportunity to work with a coach and be able to speed up their development process. So that was Wednesday. We get to Thursday's practice, and I was, again, really happy with this practice. With the minis, we started serving. We did a little bit of passing again, but I wanted to see where we were at on the serves. Overall, very good. And at the mini level, the teams who win are the teams who can consistently serve. That's a major deal, because again, if you're serving out of bounds, you're hitting the net, you're only losing yourself points. So you're beating yourself more than the other team beating you. So overall, very happy with the serving. There's still going to be some work to get done. This isn't a very consistent team yet, but we're going to get there. But I had a few girls even start going overhand. Now, my teams last year, it was rare for that minis team to go overhand. But if there's a girl who I feel is developmental and strong enough, and even if she's never learned to go underhand, I'll try to teach her overhand, because that's going to translate more. An overhand serve translate very similar to a hitting action when they do that versus an underhand and a pass. So if I can bypass the underhand serve, which if they get old enough, they can learn the underhand serve in 5 minutes. The overhand takes a little bit longer because they almost overthink it and there's too many things. But I was able to work with some of the minis girls and get them overhand serving, which I like to see. Again, the wins and losses don't necessarily matter as much in this. It's about development, and that's really what we want to try to push with the girls. Now, if you create a fun environment, you develop the skills, you're going to win. And so we're trying to do both. So we focused on the serving, a little bit of passing for them. And then it was one of the girls' birthdays. And this was kind of one of the first times I wanted to do this. So as the mini team was leaving, and the junior team was coming in, I wanted the teams to get together, because one of the parents was nice enough to bring cupcakes. We all sang happy birthday to the girl on the minis team together. with the junior team included, the minis were able to get their cupcakes and then leave, and then it was time for the juniors practice, which I told them, practice hard, you get a cupcake at the end. But again, this is building this entire program and family that I talk about together, because it's going to come up here in a few minutes when I get to it. I want the juniors and minis to be comfortable with each other and not just feel like it's two teams leaving, one in and one out, which ultimately, again, I'm going to build up here in a few minutes, but I'm going to briefly hit on the junior second practice of the week, which ultimately I thought went really, really good. We did a little bit of passing, but we went in depth on serving to kind of see what we had. And I was happy with it. Again, I expect a lot of these girls to serve, but there's a lot who still want to go underhand. I think they're at the point of going overhand. Now, I'm not going to force a girl at the very beginning. End of the year, I expect every girl to be going overhand, even the young girls. But I don't want to kill their confidence by having them focus on just trying to go overhand, never getting serves, and then they just fall apart. So if they have to do underhand a little bit, yeah, that's totally fine. But I do want to see good overhand skills because I think they should be there at that level. Again, I have three girls who are underage for the league, who, the requirement is 11 to 12 years old. Alina's not there yet. Adeline's not there yet. Milani's not there yet, but they're all playing up. And I still want to see these fundamental skills. And we actually have one more. We have Brooke, who's there as well. So, and you guys will get to know the team. You're going to see them in videos, but also when I start doing the graphic packages on Facebook, you're going to start to get to know the girls as well throughout the season. So, but very, very happy with the serving, and especially the girls I've worked with for a long time. It's tough to mentally get them to want to go overhand. They'll want to do it, and then if they mess up once or twice, they want to quit, and they want to just go back to underhand, rely on what works. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to push the girls to get better. Again, every once in a while, and if, say, the game was on the line and I felt that a girl had a really good chance to get it over with an underhand and not as much on an overhand, the coach and me, she's going underhand. I still don't want her to lose the game, then beat herself up for a week about it because she went that. Underhand can still work. Yes, not as much as you get older in the age groups, but like Adeline, my daughter, she has this weird underhand serve. We call it the grenade. She throws it sideways. She puts this weird hit and spin on it. It has become a fan and even a referee favorite serve. I don't mess with it. I didn't teach her it. She learned it on her own. She didn't want to listen to me, which any parent out there, you try to teach your kids something, even if you know it, they don't want to listen. But as soon as somebody else does, they'll totally buy into it. So she learned her serve. And again, so underhand can work. It's just we want to build up those skills to get to the other thing. So very happy with that practice. And I also saw more effort out of the junior team, which is what I liked. Now, we did do a little scrimmage at the end, and I don't do a ton of scrimmaging. I keep it very, very short because sometimes I feel like it actually makes the girls a little worse because they get confused about whose spot and where the ball goes. And there is things that you look for and you try to teach. I always teach that if it is in your general arm length, it is your ball. Now, not every single ball is going to come there, obviously. So there are specific seams that you're looking for, who's covering what. There's also tendencies that I know of, and again, it's not that I'm some special coach. You just start to pick up this stuff to where if you were to run an actual serve receive, you're probably going to give up a lot of points because the girls are very consistent as to where they serve it at. So I try to take the guesswork out for the girls. And yes, a ball's going to hit the ground every now and then, but I preach you two need to communicate next time so you know who's getting the ball. If you're going to cover up for this girl, she needs to cover back for that girl. So it may not be the exact perfect volleyball defense for a serve receive, but it works when they know how to run it correctly. And again, I want to simplify it as much as possible for them right now and not confuse them with too much switching and rotating. So that part we could work on, and it will be worked on. Again, if you're a parent watching this, believe me, defense is my focus. I hate getting aced. I understand if a team just has a better server and she gets you, that's going to happen. Sometimes your platform's not there, the ball just comes in quicker than you think it's going to happen. What I really, really dislike is when it hits the floor and nobody moves for it, and then they all stand around looking at each other, and then they look at me like, whose ball was it? Well, again, it should have been all your balls if that's the case, because somebody better go for it. So I try to take that out. I really try to pride ourselves on not getting aced much. And if you do it and you look at me as one of the athletes, you're probably going to know what my response is to that one. Again, as long as they communicate and they figure out whose ball it is next time and what their responsibility is, we can fix a lot of those issues. But again, sometimes you just have great servers who come up and rocket a serve and you just judge it wrong, and that happens. But there's a difference between the effort levels on the two. So overall, very, very happy with that juniors team and what they accomplished, and we were able to bring them in, get them out of there for the evening, which ultimately, first week, I'm very happy with. The main thing I look for is not so much on the technical side. It's the effort. It's like I said, it's those intangibles, the things that you can't necessarily teach out of the girls. Who's going to be your leaders? Who's willing to talk? Who's willing to step up? Who's willing to put their hand in? We break down as a team versus who's the girls who keep their arms back, the ones who don't want to chant. Now again, the chants aren't anything too crazy, so they're easy to learn, but it's who wants to be part of it, and that's what I want to see from the girls early on. I also understand they have attitudes. There's other stuff going on. It's the first week. There's a lot. So I am somebody who gives a lot of grace to the girls when it comes to that stuff, but there's little patterns and tendencies I see that if it continues on throughout the season, I kind of get an idea of who wants to be out there, who doesn't, who's willing to work hard enough, and who's willing to leave it all on the line out there, because your heart, your effort, your intensity, those are the things I care about. You can lose every single game, but if you give me those, you'll leave still a winner in my book. If you just walk through and don't really care, but you're able to score on people, there's no real point in that. That's part of the reason I wanted to bump this group of girls up, because I felt like if they stayed at the minis level, chances were good they were going to just run through that level again, and it would have been too easy for them. And I don't want that. I wanted the increase in skills for them. But I also know sometimes the older girls, they need a younger girl like nipping at them, letting them know like, hey, this girl's 2 years younger than you, but she's outperforming you. You need to step it up. And so that's why I have the teams like that, which is going to bring me to my next point. So, and again, this will be sent to the parents. They will know if you are watching this ahead of time. I've brought it up before, but I try to almost over communicate that way at the end. You can't say coach didn't say, because coach is always trying to say. This upcoming week, I am now allowing my minis team and my juniors team to practice together. It is going to be a combined practice going forward. So it's a 2-hour time block. Now, I understand not all the girls are going to be able to make that. I am totally okay with that. I still want you to prioritize your family. I still want these girls to have dinner, have time if they have homework and do other stuff. Their life is not volleyball at this age, but for those girls who want the extra work and the time allows, I want them to have the opportunity. So we're going to combine the practices, which ultimately will help the younger girls get boosted up. Because again, when you play with better players, you learn quicker, your abilities increase. And I want the older girls to see how hard the younger girls are working. Maybe that makes them take a little step up in the effort. But at the same time, we're building this whole entire thing. I want the minis team to support the juniors team. I want the juniors team to support the minis team. I want the parents involved. I really want this to be a special thing to where if you know that if you stay in this league, hopefully I can work with all the girls again, but some age up, some stay lower level, just kind of depends. I want people to want to be part of our team. And when they see my name on as their daughter's coach, they get excited. The kids are excited and they want to be part of something. That's what ultimately we're trying to build here. So I'm looking forward to combining the two practices. I will not be having the teams scrimmage each other. There's a way that I will do some live ball stuff, but it's not going to be against each other. I also feel like the girls, even from my previous years, whenever they scrimmage each other, they never really try. You put them against the parents, they'll try hard, but I don't want a parent getting hurt. And ultimately, I just don't necessarily see all the benefit in the constant scrimmage style. I think there's other drills you can do to really prepare you, but they should have good dual practices. I got a couple of great coaches working with me. I have some other parents who have volunteered to help out. And if we got to do this as a group, we're going to do this as a group, and we're going to go out there and continue to build upon last year's success and hopefully try to take home the championship in both the mini league as well as the juniors league this year. So that's what we're trying to do. Hopefully we'll be able to continue to do that this upcoming week. I will get some footage of both those practices. You're going to see me coaching. I'm still going to provide some other stuff because I do want to provide people with content. Again, if you don't watch, I understand, but it still is out there to continue to build up this stuff. I like to see it, and hopefully it just helps raise the game. I know there's other great coaches in this league, but if it can continue to bump up even the newer coaches, or I can kind of help them with some of this stuff and kind of build something more. It just elevates everything. It elevates the league to where it's not just looked at as, oh, it's just Parks and Rec. Because to me, it's not just Parks and Rec. There's a lot of girls who are great athletes and they just cannot afford club ball. I tell you right now, my two daughters, we couldn't afford playing for a club. There's no way. Are they skilled enough to do so? Absolutely. But a financial issue is different for a lot of girls. And I don't want them to feel like just because you don't play club, you're not in a better environment or a good experience for you, because that's not the case. Personally, I could coach at a club level, even a school level. So I want to provide that for the girls to where they can still get a higher level and feel like they're part of something, as well as the parents to let them see that. And as these girls grow, that's again, one of my ultimate goals is I want the girls ready. Because if they do leave Parks and Rec and go play club, I want them to have the skills for that. But even not club, even if it's just school and they want to play for their schools, I want that as well, to where they have those skills necessarily as they continue to increase in the sport. I mentioned my other one, my priority is my daughters. That would even overtake a job opportunity for a higher level for me. It would depend on a lot, but my goal, my daughters are my priority, and building them up and spending that time with them, that family is very important to me, and to be able to do so. So I just wanted to hit on that. Ultimately, good first week of practice. Hopefully the effort is there as we come into this next week, and we can get the girls, both the minis and the juniors, to come together, continue to build upon something. And we have games in about 2 weeks. Get that going. So ultimately have them prepared, ready to step on the court. The first couple weeks, it's a little bit tough because they're getting used to it again. You're not at where you are mid, even end of season. So, those are a few things you got to focus on, getting them ready for those first couple weeks to win those games. And that's exactly what we're going to do, which kind of brings me up to my next point. I don't want to go on too long about this, but like I mentioned at the beginning, I have one of the Mountaineer Might Championship sweatshirts on. Hopefully, the end of this year, we'll be able to do one for both our minis and our juniors teams. I always think that's a cool thing to be able to have, but there is other gear offered on my website, which is, I believe it's bonfire.com. Mountaineer Might store. It's linked in a lot of stuff. I'll even link it on this. If you want to support the team, we offer, there's quite a few different stuff, but this year I wanted just a generic shirt that has the volleyball logo, Mountaineer Might Volleyball. Then I offer a variation where you have that, but this week, hopefully, we should get the girls' jerseys in, so you'll know your daughter's number. If you want to get the last name on it and then your daughter's number on it, there is an option to do more of a specialized shirt, a custom shirt. If you are going to do that, do not order from the website until you talk to me. I have to send you a special link, because if you order the one on the website, you are going to get the one that says last name and then just has the pound symbol. I don't want you getting that. I want you getting the custom one. So please do not order that yet. I know quite a few parents have reached out to me who are planning on ordering that one. Thank you for not purchasing that yet. I want to get you the right one for your family to be able to support that. And then I also have the two most popular ones, which I'm so glad this has caught on, which is the MIGHT chant. That is that, I know it's not very loud at the beginning of this video, but if you've watched us, we chant it. It is our team chant. I do have that chant on shirts. That has become a very popular shirt, which I love to have to put on there. So the whole shirt on the front has, the Mountaineer Might Volleyball. On the back, it has the MIGHT. We all yell Might on 3. 1, 2, 3, Might. That is our team chant that I came up with a couple seasons ago. I love that. We use that at very specific times, but I also know some people are like, what do they say out there? Yeah, we're spelling might. We do the whole thing. We get the chant. That shirt is available in adult and youth sizes. My daughters have them. We have both a purple version as well as a white version for my other team. But again, I like the white more than the purple in a lot of ways, which you'll find out with my team. We do themed weeks. We are one of, from my experience last season, we're the only team that does whiteouts. And what I mean by whiteouts is the girls wear white hair accessories. They do white arm sleeves. They do white shorts. They do white socks. It looks cool. I think it is the coolest look of all the teams out of the entire season. We do some other stuff. We do a blackout version with the same stuff. Then we also do what I call shed blood, which is a variation. Again, I'm a TCU fan. They have a version called Spit Blood that they use for their Horn Frog. I kind of came to our own with the purple and red. My daughters like the combination of purple and red, so we do the shed blood one as well. Somebody ever wonders, why do you guys wear red? Well, it's kind of the inspiration is from another thing, but my daughters like the colors. But we do the white out a lot. It is my favorite look with it, and we have white lettering. I don't know about this season, we have white lettering in the past with the stuff. And when the whole team comes decked out in that, you know it's go time. Like I said, when the purple team pulls up, you know what's going on. But I also want to see the parents doing it. Again, we don't really have a section. I know sometimes people call it like the orange crush or the purple crush or whatever. Like I want to see the parents wearing the colors. So you don't have to wear one of my shirts by any means. I totally understand. I offer it for those who want to have it. You can get those in adult and youth sizes. They're not just for the athletes. So if you want your own daughter's ones, I've never had my two daughters' ones because again, I just have to buy one of each for the daughters. I know sometimes they change jersey numbers every year and whatnot. But again, for this year, you should have that jersey within a week or two. They'll probably be in by game time, especially if I get the jerseys this week, get the numbers handed out, people can do that. But there is some other stuff on there. There's also my logo. I know a lot of people like that. That is a custom designed logo that we have done, that there's just a generic like Mountaineer Mite shirt that has the logo on it, similar to what you're seeing on these flags back here. So again, don't feel like you have to be part of that, but if you want to support what we're doing and support the girls or support myself, that's ultimately what we're trying to do. Again, I want the fans decked out in purple, even if it's just a blank, Walmart purple shirt. It is what it is. I want the support, and my goal hopefully is that some of the families for the juniors teams show up to the minis games and the minis teams show up to the juniors games. I know because I'm coaching them, my daughters will be there, and I believe my wife is going to come. We have a 6-month-old son who can be a little crazy at the game, but I know she'll be there. I believe my other assistant coaches, they'll be there, their families and stuff like that. But if we could have any of the other families there, that's what we want to see. I was very impressed with 2 seasons ago. There was a pink team that had a lot of fans that had all the stuff. There's also the black team who we played, and they're in this league as well. We played them pretty early on. It's the rematch of the championship with some different teams very early in the season. And one of our former players is with them now, so it should make for an interesting game. But they're the same thing. They brand their team stuff pretty well. I believe they call themselves the Blackout. That's cool. I like that stuff. I love that the teams are starting to do that. That branding and the fans get involved with it, because that's what I want. That's the one thing for anybody who watches the live videos when I do them. You don't hear the crowd and you really can't hear the environment. You might hear a lot of whistles. You don't hear a lot of the other stuff, but the games are rocking. It's a really fun environment. I want them to be even better this year, because that's what's fun for the girls. Is I know in the beginning they're a little nervous if they've never been in that kind of environment, but to me that makes the games more fun. I talked about in the previous one with the championship game with Jefferson. Even though it was a small group of families, because it was a lot smaller league, the stands were rocking. It was loud. The parents were beating with their feet on the bleachers and stuff. It's just a cool environment. I love for the girls to be able to get to and enjoy that. I think if you've played like men's sports like football, you get some of that that environment, that ruckus kind of crowd environment. But it's cool when they can create it inside of a volleyball court or even a basketball court. So that's what we're looking to do. So if you want to get some of those, they're linked up on my page. I also have them in the team linked bios for anybody of the families who are on team linked. You can get those, or just reach out to me if you want to support. Again, those usually come pretty quick. There's adult and youth sizes available on there. So if you have any little siblings that want to support older brother and older sister, I guess, eventually there could. In the last league, I could have had boys on my team, but I didn't. And sometimes these leagues do. But for this season, I guess it'd be just sisters. But if you have any little brothers who want to support their sister, have them get one of those shirts and wear it out there. For anybody who sees my kids, I get custom onesies done. Bladen, so he can support his sisters out there. So again, thank you all for sticking around. This was week number 2. Hopefully I can give those parents a little bit of an insight to what we're looking to do going forward in this upcoming week. For those of you just following the page, again, I appreciate you following that. If you have any specific questions, reach out to me. Hopefully I should have quite a bit of content coming for you this week, some from the strength and conditioning standpoint, some from the practice standpoint. And again, I like to talk about these and break these down, which I'll probably do during the season, kind of talk about the 2 practices as well as the game, what I liked. Ultimately, just trying to raise the bar of what we're doing here. So thank you all. If you want to get those items ordered, please get those ordered. If you want the custom one, reach out to me. We'll get that taken care of, and we will get you geared up for this upcoming season. Stay tuned. Again, there's a lot of good stuff coming up this week, including episode number 3 dropping at the tail end of the week. Thank you.